beautiful beings. Welcome back to Shelter in the Storm with A Course in Miracles lesson number 54. We're still reviewing our lessons. Okay, let's begin today with, we're still in chapter 4, The Illusions of the Ego, and we're up to part 2 of chapter 4, which is the ego and false autonomy. I'm just going to read from where we left off yesterday. Everyone makes an ego or a self for himself, which is subject to enormous variation because of its instability. Excuse me, I've got a hair on my lip or something. He also makes an ego for everyone else he perceives, which is equally variable. Their interaction is a process that alters both, because they were not made by or with the unalterable. It is important to realize that this alteration can and does occur as readily when the interaction takes place in the mind as when it involves physical proximity. Thinking about another ego is as effective in changing relative perception as is physical interaction. There could be no better example that the ego is only an idea and not a fact. Your own state of mind is a good example of how the ego was made. When you threw knowledge away, it is as if you never had it. This is so apparent that one need only recognize it to see that it does happen. If this occurs in the present, why is it surprising that it occurred in the past? Surprise is a reasonable response. I'll redo that again. Surprise is a reasonable response to the unfamiliar, though hardly something that occurs with such persistence. But do not forget that the mind need not work that way, even though it does work that way now. Think of the love of animals for their offspring and the need they feel to protect them. That is because they regard them as part of themselves. No one dismisses something he considers part of himself. You react to your ego much as God does to his creations, with love, protection and charity. Your reactions to the self you made are not surprising. In fact, they resemble in many ways how you will one day react to your real creations, which are as timeless as you are. The question is not how you respond to the ego, but what you believe you are. Belief is an ego function, and as long as your origin is open to belief, you are regarding it from an ego viewpoint. When teaching is no longer necessary, you will merely know God. Belief that there is another way of perceiving is the loftiest idea of which the ego thinking is capable. That is because it contains a hint of recognition that the ego is not the self. Undermining the ego's thought system must be perceived as painful, even though this is anything but true. Babies scream in rage if you take away a knife or scissors, although they may very well harm themselves if you do not. In this sense, you are still a baby. You have no sense of real self-preservation, and are likely to decide what you need precisely, and are likely to decide that you need precisely what would hurt you most. Yet whether or not you recognize it now, you have agreed to cooperate in the effort to become both harmless and helpful, attributes that must go together. Your attitudes, even toward this, are necessarily conflicted, because all attitudes are ego-based. This will not last. Be patient a while and remember that the outcome is as certain as God. Okay, let's leave that one there for tonight and move on with our lesson 54. We're reviewing lessons 16 through to 20 in this lesson. These are the review ideas for today. I have no neutral thoughts. Neutral thoughts are impossible because all thoughts have power. They will either make a false world or lead me to the real one. But thoughts cannot be without effects, and the world I see arises from my thinking errors. So will the real world rise before my eyes as I let my errors be corrected. My thoughts cannot be neither true nor false. They must be one or the other. What I see shows me which they are. Number 17. I see no neutral things. What I see witnesses to what I think. If I did not think, I would not exist, because life is thought. Let me look on the world I see as the representation of my own state of mind. I know that my state of mind can change, and so I also know the world I see can change as well. That'd be great, wouldn't it? Number 18. I am not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing. If I have no private thoughts, I cannot see a private world. Even the mad idea of separation had to be shared before it could form the basis of the world I see. Yet that sharing was a sharing of nothing. I can also call upon my real thoughts, which share everything with everyone. As my thoughts of separation call to the separation thoughts of others, so my real thoughts awaken the real thoughts in them. And the world my real thoughts show me will dawn on their sight as well as mine. Number 19. I am not alone in experiencing the effects of my thoughts. I am alone in nothing. Everything I think or say or do teaches all the universe. A son of God cannot think or speak or act in vain. He cannot be alone in anything. It is therefore in my power to change every mind along with mine, for mine is the power of God. Number 20. I am determined to see. Recognizing the shared nature of my thoughts. Recording, Sarah. I am determined to see. I would look upon the witnesses that show me the thinking of the world has been changed. I would behold the proof that what has been done through me has enabled love to replace fear, has enabled love to replace fear, laughter to replace tears, and abundance to replace loss. I would look upon the real world and let it teach me that my will and the will of God are one. Okay, let's do Jesus Commentary 4, Lesson 54. Review 1, Part 1. You are blessed beings, indeed. I am that one you know as Jesus. And we are happy that you are this far along in the course. We keep reminding you that we are happy so that you know the great appreciation on this side for those of you willing to step up your spiritual practice and join with us in the transformation of your mind and the world. One of the greatest blocks to working miracles in your 3D reality that you call life is the idea that everything is linear, with a simple cause and effect relationship. Miracles are events that step out of time and that logical, simple cause and effect belief system. You are a holographic being. You constantly radiate in 360 degrees, all directions, all time, infinitely. Your frequency expresses itself and reflects back to you in the form of your life and world. This is a very important basic principle, because when you attack somebody, judge somebody, or fear something, then you perpetuate separation. Excuse me, my kitty cat's trying to get in. You are saying that this world, this person, and this situation have nothing to do with me. I have no control over this, and it frightens me. When you begin to truly understand that the world merely reflects everything you believe, hate, fear, judge, love, lust after, and desire, everything, then you see the world with forgiving eyes, because you've become curious. You have, in fact, become open-hearted and open-minded. The victim of the world is closed-minded. That means you have decided something that is true for you. Those of you learning something new here, opening up to new principles and ideas, and then practicing them, even if you don't believe in them yet, are open-minded. That shows your willingness to entertain the idea that perhaps there is something that you have not yet learned. If you learn something new, you might get a different experience. That is exactly what is going on here. Sarah, I'm nearly finished, love. You are open-minded. If you do these lessons, you are open to a different future than the one your ego predicts. The ego bases all its decisions on the past or an imagined future. If you remain present and aligned, and you base your actions, thoughts, words, and deeds on these teachings, then you stay in the present moment, where you can allow life, spirit, and God's ideas to guide you. That saves you, wait for it, decades. Do not feel that you are wasting time when you are doing these lessons, or that you could be more productive doing something else. You, literally, save decades of pain and suffering by doing these lessons. Thank you for joining us today in your review. I am that one you know as Jesus, and we will see you again tomorrow. Namaste, beautiful beings. Until then.